People are terrified of rejection, and
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable with rejection either. Like, I don't like it. You
Yeah.
seek this out, and you made an app about it. You co-founded an app. Why do
Mhm.
you seek out rejection?
Yeah. Because I realized that, like, if you can get addicted to the process of failing, then everything in life's a win.
Okay.
So when I close a client and I make several $1,000s, what a win. Amazing. If I pitch a client and I'm like, hey, it's $12,000 to work with me, and they say no, I'm like, okay, thank you. Have a nice day. And I log it in my Rejecto app and I'm like, that's a win. I pitched. I did everything I could. It was their decision to say no. I did all the things I could have done. I took action.
Right.
So I reward myself for failing and I reward myself for winning, but I don't reward myself for indecision and I don't reward myself for a lack of action. And I think a lot of people think that by not failing, they're winning. And it's like, well, failing's better than not failing because at least you're learning.
True. Okay, so what is I think I may know the answer, but like what is rejection specifically tied to? For example, I made a podcast the other day about talking one thing that has completely rewired my discipline and helped so much. And that one thing is I consistently, every single day, I seek pain. Whether it's a cold shower, whether it's getting up at 5 in the morning, whether it's going through mental warfare for an hour of the hardest cardio I've ever done in my life, which is boxing,
Yeah.
like I seek this because it specifically helps my discipline. What
Mm-hmm.
does rejection help with?
Mm-hmm. Same exact thing. It's just
It is.
pain. Like you get used to the pain. And I think I used to do cold showers every morning and I was like, that's great. I love the cold plunge, cold shower thing. I still do cold plunges, but I was like, wait a second, what if I actually did things that if they happened, it would like change me? So I think a lot of people they'll do rejection and they'll lay on the street and they'll have people walk by them. That doesn't change much,
Yeah.
right? That doesn't have an impact on your life. And sometimes I will do that stuff and we'll film it and we'll use that as marketing content because it's good for the app.
Yeah.
That is action, I guess, but like the bigger thing is like what if my body can only withstand 5 squares of pain a day. I used to use those 5 squares on cold showers or like drinking a smoothie intentionally that tasted horrible in the morning because I was like, then everything after that smoothie will taste better. Or like I would use my 5 units of pain on random stuff, like, oh, let me do 2 hours of yoga because that must make me successful or something. And then I started using those 5 units of pain or whatever you could tolerate, and I put it towards things that if they actually said yes, it would change your life. So like that's when I stopped reading self improvement books, and like I could, to a certain extent, I think reading self improvement books elicits pain because you're realizing all your gaps. So I removed that, and
Yeah.
I just added action, and then with time, I was able to increase my pain tolerance mentally to handle more. So like I mean, last week, that's like when I called the news and I was like, hey, can I be on the news? And like, I was just unbothered. I'm like, what if they say no, it doesn't matter. And then after calling tons of places, it's like now on Monday morning, I'll be live on the news. And I'm like, what? What? But it's like, you just had to make the call and you have to feel uncomfortable on the call because people
Yeah.
are like, they'll ask you weird questions, but you just got to keep asking.
Yeah. I saw your news thing. So you called them or you just emailed a bunch of news stations? And also, if you want to share,
Yeah.
how did you pitch yourself to do that?
Yeah, I'll share everything. So we were filming a YouTube video about the app
Okay.
for marketing content. And in that YouTube video, which hasn't gone live yet, but when it does go live, it was filmed by Ryan and he did an amazing job filming it. Um, Basically, he followed me around all day and I just tried to get rejected as many times as possible in a day to show people that, like, look, it's okay. I wanted to die doing it. Like, I was doing handstands at a busy intersection and I
I
don't know
saw
how to
them.
do a handstand. That was bad. And I asked construction workers if I could jackhammer and I'm wearing like a blouse. That was bad too. But one of the things we did was I was like, okay, let me call news stations. So I have no idea how to get on the news. Like, I have no idea. I've never done that.
Right.
So I went on ChatGPT and I said, how do you get on the news? And I hit send. And then it was like, you call. And I was like, okay, well, can you give me phone numbers for local news stations in my area? And ChatGPT was like, sure, here you go. And I was like, great. So I just copied and pasted like phone number after phone number after phone number. And I just started calling. And it was a holiday. So a bunch of them didn't pick up. And then a lot of them randomly rerouted to completely unrelated things. I don't remember, but it was like, oh, this is a library or this is the Congress of blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, that's not the news. But called a bunch. One of them picked up and she was like, hi, this is blah, blah, blah with Fox 10, and I was like, hi, like, who's the point of contact I should reach out to about getting a story featured? And I just said it very confidently, and I pretended, what would the version of Maureen that is on the news act like? And I
Right.
stepped into that. So I thought, okay, if Taylor Swift is calling the news, is she going to be like, excuse me, would it be okay if you transferred me to maybe Jessica? I don't know if I'm asking too much. Or would she be like, hey, super friendly, who's the point of contact to get a story featured?
Yeah.
She would say it, not justify, just say it. So I was like, okay, great. So I asked the lady, I was like, who should I talk to? And she's like, I guess that would be, I think she said the name was Jessica. And I was like, okay, perfect. Who else should I contact? She was like, oh, well, that would also be insert whatever name. And I was like, awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I'm huge on like positive reinforcement. If someone's being nice,
Yeah.
be nice. Also, when people are mean to me, I try to be nice. But then I was like, amazing. Could I get their email addresses? I just asked the next logical question. Can I get their email addresses? And then she was like, yeah, I guess you could. So she gives me their email address. And I was like, great. And what was your name? And she says her name. And I was like, I just like want to appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for giving me their email. Like, I hope you have an amazing day. And she's like, yes, of course. You have a great day too. Hung up. I waited 2 days. In 2 days, I sent an email and I was like, hey, Jessica, and insert name. I spoke with Cindy last week or whatever her name was. She mentioned that you guys would be the perfect person to reach out to about this. I just wanted to ask. And I just come from a place of like, hey, just wanted to ask, like, maybe this is a no. Like, then in which case I'm a little bit more like asking with like the double eyelash flutter of like, it's okay if you tell me no. Whereas on the first call, I'm more direct.
Yeah.
And then within, I think it was 24 minutes, they responded and they're like, we'd love to have you on. We can feature you live at 8 a.m. And I was like, what the heck? So I was like, that is crazy.
So are you just going on there to talk about what? Your business, or what is it?
I'm going to talk about rejection. So what they asked me for is they asked me to come up with a list for their news anchors to get rejected. So they're going to film their news anchors getting rejected. And then I'm going to come on. And then they're going to talk to me about rejection and talk to me about the app that I launched. So I Googled it and it said like most news features for advertising, it's $8,000 for 30 seconds. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but when the initial Google I did, and I was like, wow. So you'll be on the news, you'll be getting views, and it's free just because you asked to have a story about it and you turn it into motivation. You're motivating people and it's not an advertisement because you're motivating.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is crazy.